Welcome to Sunraysia Regional Unplugged. Hello. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on. We're doing it fortnightly from now on while we settle into spring and the things that are happening. How you going, Mark?
Well, Shona, how are you?
Yeah, really good.
I'll just come back a bit. I don't want to get too close to the camera.
We can see up your nose before.
Yeah.
So tell us. We'll get straight into it. Tell us, there's some reports coming out that property prices are increasing, like 15%. Yep. Tell me about this thing. I don't know much about it. I need to know.
Yeah, there was a report that came out sort of announcing that there's some regional towns in Victoria that are really taking the lead when it comes to property prices. And I guess it's, it's interesting because we're going through a really interesting time in this pandemic that we're experiencing. It's you look at some businesses are just going full steam ahead, where others are sort of paused and not going ahead, and it's hard. But look, there's been the statistics are telling us that the prices here in Mildura, along with Bendigo and a couple of other regional towns in Victoria, are really sort of going ahead in leaps and bounds, and we're actually on a par with Noosa in Queensland as far as with increasing values. So it's interesting. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because I think that there is a lack of supply at the moment. It has been for quite some time, and we've seen a massive shift in the way people are living now and what they're wanting to do, how they want to live. We will see people coming from metro areas up to Mildura. The phone's starting to ring from people down that way, like looking to come up for a bit of a change. So definitely, it's really good news for homeowners here in Mildura, because I guess there's 15%. I mean, look, it's not cut and dry. Yes, your house was worth 300, now it's worth X amount. The top end stuff maybe hasn't gone up that amount, but maybe the bottom end stuff has. So it's great for Mildura. It's great to be put on the map in some of the best towns in Australia as far as growth, and that's really, really important. So I guess it's interesting and really good for Sunraysia pushing ahead. And like I said, we should see lots of people coming to this area, because I think a lot of people want out of Melbourne, and that's what we're hearing, and I reckon we'll see a fair bit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this, I can see that in the online space that I'm in as well. It's just like there's a lot of reassessing what's happening with our lives and what we want to do for our future. And Mildura is hot on the tongue, so it's cool. Particularly, it's really nice.
Particularly retirees. They want to change. They want and because Mildura is such a tourism place, I've been here before, and you're speaking to people that have often grown up here. Not grown up here, but come here on holidays and been on a houseboat or went camping with the family, and they're sort of coming back because they've had good experiences here. So
and look at it now. Look at Mildura now compared to what it was 5 years ago. It's beautiful. You know what I mean?
It has changed.
Yeah.
And I think that demand at the moment is just for properties like I put a post on Facebook the other day, like, if you're thinking of selling, let me know, because we have so much demand right now. I've got vendors bringing their houses forward. They were sort of thinking of selling in the new year. No, it has to happen now if you want to take advantage of good pricing while the economy is still good nationally. I think now's the time to do it if you can, because there's just so much. So you put a house on the market and it's instantly getting traction, and that's good news.
Okay, so this brings us to really interesting, like for our topic today about exterior and presenting exteriors, because if we're going to have a lot of properties on the market, let's get them so that they stand out above the rest, right? So
absolutely.
It's really, really important to get our exteriors, our facades right, but it's, not just the facades, the whole house, the entertainment areas, our exteriors are like really important to get that first impression and nailing that first impression. And it has changed, and that's what I want to talk about today. It actually has changed from when we were putting properties on the market like a year ago, when there was lots of greys and whites. That's kind of like every house is like that now, you know, and it's, you know, we need to stand out. There is lots of, you know, different ways in doing it. You can, and I want to speak about the two different things today. The first thing is, if you're going to keep your property and it's not to really necessarily to go on the market, then yes, you can have a quirky color scheme and it can be yours. If it's yours that you're going to live in for 10 years, it doesn't matter, I guess, if you put your quirky stamp on it. What it does, when it does matter, is that when we're presenting properties to go on the market, because if we're going to put our quirky stamp, and we all have them, we're narrowing the audience somewhat, and we don't want to do that, obviously. So we need to have color schemes that are enticing, magnetizing, and really we are kind of following the trends. So trends for homes that you're going to keep are there to inspire us, not to dictate. But trends, I guess, when we're putting on the market, are really like closely follow them. They are, you know, take it as a dictation of how things are going. So it's really that, like you're seeing that, Mark, like there's new houses that we've put on the market, or you've put on the market recently, with different colored doors than we've ever seen before. And it's kind of like a really cool attraction, yeah?
Yeah, you can throw that little twist in there, can't you?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's certainly, like, I think the exterior is crucial because, you know, I think 99% of real estate agents will use the main exterior shot first. So that is in, whether it's in the paper or whether it's in social media, or, you know, like in the main part of your advertising, you're promoting the facade, and I think it's got to be sort of designed to impress the masses, like you just said.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you want to make sure that you're not pigeonholing yourself with a certain niche buyer, but you really want to make sure it's, you know, from a real estate point of view, you want 10 people fighting over the house, not just one falling in love with it and maybe, you know, getting an okay result. So something happened then.
Yeah, just hit the window.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
So yeah, totally agree. It's got to be for the masses. You got to make sure that when that property launches, if you're designing it, the exterior to sell, that, you know, you have people tripping over it. What are the colors? Right. What are you seeing? What's the change? Is there a bit of a shift, is there?
Yeah, there's definitely a shift. So the greys are really going. And I mean, if you have a grey, like weatherboard house, for instance, that you know, you want to, it's, you know, maybe you just painted it 3 years ago, it doesn't need painting again. Of course, keep it that way. It's actually quite fine. If you've got your greys and whites, but maybe you can put, you know, something that's going to stand out this trend, like in the trend forecast now, like a sage green door or something. But if your house needs a revamp and it needs repainting, then I would certainly go for like whites, and the beiges are coming in, like not the yellow beiges. Hang on a sec. Not the yellow beiges, but the you know, just really the off whites. So if you, and
so
then
not cream.
No creams. No creams. No creams. We don't do
I
that
hope they're not coming back.
We don't do that anymore. But it's yeah, just definitely the really light colors. Now, if you got, you know, veranda posts, or your windows are black and it's a real contrast, that can work really well on modern homes where it's just the whites and just the, like the blacks, or a dark grey like Monument, woodland grey. But on, say, something like a weatherboard, like an older style home, then I would certainly put in a third color within that, just to bring it down a little bit. And it kind of just stops that starkness. It can look a bit funny when it's on an older style home. So you would bring in a neutral color. So say you had a surf mist on the walls, which is Colorbond's whitest color.
Like that color, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It looks amazing on weatherboards. If you've got, or on a render, for instance, if you've got that color and you've got black windows and black posts, and it's starting to look, it looks a little bit black and white, a little bit Collingwood, then you would actually get another color in, like a neutral, so a shale gray if you want to go to the cools, or you'd get like a nice beige, just to bring that in your gutters, your fascias, a pot at the front, just subtle. Like your third color is about subtleness, and it just, yeah, tones it all down. It looks very classy.
Seeing a lot of like, we're obviously doing a bit of research at the moment because we're doing, like I mentioned, an extension. So there's so much to look at. This, we've obviously got to go with the theme here that we already have. You don't want to go too different, but you still want a different spin, maybe a more. There's a lot of timber happening at the moment, isn't there? And it's like there's eco timbers, there's different types of way you can throw it in there. It seems to be that's a popular, like you said before, you might have a really character, simple little white home. You throw a little bit of timber in there, whether it's the main post in the front portico, it can give it pop, can't it? Like
it can just be the smallest thing. It could be just a few, like a portico, and that's it.
Or your door.
The front door. Or the front door. And obviously you can go to the extreme, like if you want to update your garage door with the timber look, that looks amazing as well. And that's sort of been around for a long time now. But the other thing is there's different timbers. People are very scared of timbers because they're high maintenance, in Mildura, white ants, the weather. But you can use something like James Hardie's Sycon, where it looks like timber, but it's fiber cement stuff. And that looks amazing. You can have like a cement look, you can have a timber look. And it's, really, really easy for maintenance, but it just gives that warmth. And if you've got an 80s brick house that you can't afford to render, for instance, you can add a part of the cladding, like that timber look, or your entertainment area with a bit of timber, and that just like really modernizes it as well. Timber's beautiful. Timber is one of those things that it's naturally magnetizes. It's an attractive.
It's the warmth of it, isn't it?
It is. People just love it. People love seeing it. People are drawn to it. So it's something very to consider. Especially at the front, if there's a spot for it, put it there.
So you're saying whites and blacks and timbers. It's obvious that it's like you're looking for really contrasting colours at the moment. Like, is that the objective? Because it seems that's what I'm seeing.
It's really.
And it might be. It might be your eco timbers, and then your monument greys, and then your blacks, and then white, and then white render. It seems to be really contrasty type colors and themes.
Absolutely. I think people are tired of seeing vanilla, it's kind of like they, the grays and the really light grays and the whites, and it's just, it's kind of just there. And, the creams and beiges, it's just there. I think people are so
Federation
stimulated.
Green?
Pardon?
Federation Green, is it back yet?
Nah.
No.
Federation Green, there's a spot for it. There's absolutely a spot for it, but it's you just need to be careful where you use it. It's something that you would use subtly, but I think the sage greens, like if you're looking at ColourBond colors, go with those those light paler greens in their range, that like the bushland, etc. So they are amazing. They look beautiful. I think it's the dark colors that the Manor Red and the Federation Green that people are kind of steering away from. So if you've got green gutters that have been there forever and a day, consider painting them. And if it's we've got to tie in the roof, and there's lots to consider. But if it's worth investing in doing that, then I would definitely do it.
Because you do have your roof to consider. You've got your windows, the colours. Like I've got Western Red Cedar windows here. They're great. But so therefore you have to be careful with whatever else you do in the home. But I go into houses all the time, and they might be white, black, yellow, cream. So it's you can't just then go and splash white through the home with cream windows, because it can be the wrong contrast. Yeah.
Absolutely, exactly. And everyone, I guess, there's a lot of people sort of forget to, if they're building a new home and they want a certain look on the outside, they have to consider the window color that they're choosing for the outside, what's going to be on the inside. So some people forget about that, and it's kind of like, oh, I wanted the grays inside, but I've got these cream windows, it doesn't work. So there's a lot to consider.
What else is it? Obviously, so colors is one thing. You're looking for that first impression. What's the other stuff that you think, if you're sitting there with a client and talking to them about what they should update and change on and the front of their property, and the exterior, the side, the back? What's your advice? What do you go to?
I think like chunkiness in windows is really appealing as well. So if you've just got, you know, just the normal standard window with no architraving around it, no, that hasn't got anything there, and it's quite thin, and so you've got all this color on a render or the brick. The bricks are harder, obviously, because that's sort of a bit different, but I'm sort of more talking like a weatherboard home that's got really thin normal windows, aluminium windows, and then their weatherboards. The biggest impact you can do is to put some architraving around that window and to chunky it up. It's so simple. All you do is paint it, put it on, paint it, and you have this classy, you know, out border around your window, and it makes it look like it's really finished properly. It does add value for sure.
Yeah, good idea. I got a tip the other day. You know, the grey pavers that you get, they can come in cream and grey. They end up getting a little bit worn, they get a bit rough.
Yep.
Flip them over. They're brand new.
Exactly. Yeah. That's so true.
It is. And the guy that did it, he said he's just replaced it. He's just flipped them all over, and it's literally like he's got new pavers. And they were done in 2004. So 16 years old, and they weather, they get a bit rough and a bit salty in places. So it's those really simple little things that you can do to give your home a lift. And it's really like, from a selling point of view, when your buyer's walking up to that home and they're already feeling it before they walk inside, and then they feel it again once they walk inside, it's, you know, you're almost home and home. So yeah, it's definitely, you know, sometimes I frustrate my clients a little bit because I'm making them do the things they don't want to do. And it's the little things, and they ask me whether, and I know they know the answer, but they ask me anyway, should I do that? Of course you should.
Because it's easy to, you want to sort of get away with not doing, you know, we want to put it on the market, and there's some tedious jobs like the eaves, you know, it's really underestimated, that, you know, a lick of paint on the eaves can make a massive difference. You know, you can have water stains and all those sorts of things on there, but if you know, really freshen it up, it make a big difference.
It can be a bit of a laugh, because it literally, like, they ask me, oh, do you think we should do this? And it's like, what do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you what you want, you know, what you want to hear? But it's, you know, my advice is always the same. You need to impress the pants off buyers. You need to make sure that you're doing absolutely everything before they walk in that front door. The front deck, the front step, whatever it is, it has to be perfect. And you know, it can be a little bit daunting, and it might mean that it's another week off the market, but you got to get that right before you take it to the market, because you don't want to just be minimizing your market. You want to make sure that you've got competition. And going back to what I mentioned at the start, the results that we're getting for the little places, the ones that are, you know, still affordable, 300 to 400, the ones where that attention to detail is spot on, and your buyer feedback is, oh my God, it's so beautifully presented, you know, well done to the vendors. We love it. We've got to buy it. They're the ones that are creating that 15% price rise. They're the ones that are making the difference. There's no doubt about it. They're the ones that we're expecting maybe, you know, 310, 320, we end up achieving 350. That's the 15% difference. And that's because they're going to the nth degree to make sure that all these little things are done. You know, they're not, you know, leaving it for the next person to come and worry about. They're not leaving it to that buyer to go, okay, well, I need to keep $5,000 aside for there, so I'll just adjust my offer. No, they're going in all in all to make sure that they buy that property, and those little exterior, interior things are the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you're going to put the effort into your facade for you know, the front and walking in the front door, match it out the back as much as you can. Match it out in your alfresco area where we can. This is like, you know, we're living in a spot now, not now, but we're living in a place where it's you know, everyone sits outside and eats dinner in the summer, and, you know, and people want to spend their time outside. So really put the effort in the front, put the effort out there as well, because it will make a massive difference. People, like you just said, people want to walk in there and go, I've arrived.
Yeah. All right, let's get off topic a bit. What about entertaining areas? Because that's, they're becoming more of they've got to be an indoor-outdoor scenario, don't they? Because it's so hot here in Mildura, I'm seeing a lot more entertaining areas that are a little bit more complete. Now, they're not quick fix, right? But do you see that? Like, is that something that you try and push for your clients, potentially the ones that aren't necessarily looking to sell? The entertaining space is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's different though, Mark. Like everyone has a different, how they want to do things. Some people hate being closed in. It's like, well, I want to be outdoors for a reason, But then there's definitely the ones that are closing things in and putting, it's like going back to the like, oh gosh, I can't even remember the era now, but remember that there's the fly screens that were on the outside of the verandas. That sort of thing is coming back in, obviously, in a more modern way, but people are starting to entertain that way. They're starting to have their fireplaces in that as well. As it's basically another room added onto the house.
Everyone's got a fire pit.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And if you're selling, like if you're thinking of selling, like it's worth investing in and putting a little fire pit down in the yard. Everyone loves them, for the winter.
Selling the dream.
Selling the dream. That's exactly what they do. And I think the dream is less about finding a place and doing it up yourself now, and more about our lives are so busy. We just want the perfect place that ticks all the boxes.
Oh, it's spot on. Like people, as much as I think you'll find 1 out of 10 buyer that's prepared to renovate. Your 9 out of 10 just want to walk straight in and have it done for them. And that's, definitely what we see, and what I think is the crucial thing, again, finishing those little things off to get it right. All right, what other little exterior tips have you got for us today? Letterbox, what else?
Lighting the front lights at the porch, really make sure that suits the style of the home. Make sure they're updated if they're a bit rusty, cleaned if they've got, bird things on them. Like, just really consider the lighting. The lighting is really, people, they're drawn to that as well. You think that it's not really seen because you've been living there for so long and you don't actually notice it anymore. But people, when they see your property for the first time, will notice that. So lighting is beautiful. If you've got decking, it's worth replacing if it's really bad, but definitely updating it. If you've got old cracked tiles like my old, Simon's old house, replace them. It's not worth persevering and having, why is this not selling for 6 weeks? It's just like, okay, you know what? If you spend $1,000 on that front thing, it could have sold. So definitely where people put their feet, where people will see what's in eye shot, and just making sure that there's nothing that's is an objection. Think about what you wouldn't like if you walked up to a front door.
You got to put yourself in a buyer's shoes, don't you, as a vendor?
Yes, you have absolutely.
To.
You got to really put it into that. This is not my home anymore. It's a house. We're going to turn it from a home into a house to sell. Yeah.
Look at it objectively and make sure that you're seeing the things that you're not seeing anymore. And it goes back to just fixing those little things that you've been meaning. So many people get their house as exactly how they plan to have it from 20 years before when they bought it. We're going to do this, and this doesn't happen, but they finally do it before they sell. And how many times do we get the comments? But I don't want to leave now. This is how I envisaged it. But you can be guaranteed. The great thing about the market now, you can be guaranteed if you get those little things right. For any potential vendors out there listening now, if you get all those little things right and you finish it off, and it is hard work, and you go through those ups and downs of why am I doing this? Let's just sell it as is. You always get reward, and the rewards at the moment, because of the amount of buyers we've got, is definitely significant. So it's positive all around.
Absolutely.
Plus you're leaving the house in such a beautiful state that you can be comfortable walking away knowing that you've handed over something really, really great, which is always a good feeling for homeowners.
It's great. It's, you should be proud of yourselves of what you've achieved and what you've been able to achieve to get to actually give to somebody else for their beautiful chapter. So I think it's a win-win-win all around. So yeah, that's some little tips. And if you want to know more, or you need some help with the exteriors, certainly give me a message and send me a message, and I'll get back to you and help you with that, because it's something that can be very overwhelming when we're so spoilt for choice with colors, and things are changing all the time. So, get the advice from someone that knows, and also hit up Mark. You've just heard the numbers, heard the figures. Let's go. There's lots of demand. So if you want to put your property on the market now, sounds like it's the best time.
And even if you don't, like, if you just want to know your value, I think a lot of people think that if they're getting an appraisal, it means that they're on the market. And it's not the case. This is a service that I'm happy to provide. It doesn't matter whether you're selling in a year or 2 or 5 or 10 or never. If it's a insurance thing or whatever, or just a peace of mind, or just knowing what your value is, I'm absolutely happy to provide that service. And I think that's the crucial thing. People freak out about the word appraisal. They think, oh my God, he's going to come and sell my house on me, and I'm not even ready. But it's not about that. And it might be that you are ready and you're a year away, but it's getting these little tips and advice. And I can look at houses objectively, and I will tell people if I think they need to do something to do it. Whether they do it or not, it's another thing, but they usually do. So I think that's something that I want to get across. So if people think about the fact that they want an appraisal, but they're not really selling, I don't care. It's literally part of what we do.
That's brilliant. It's not a contract. You don't have to sign anything. It's just a bit of advice. True. It's a duty of care. I love that. That's really good. Cool. All right. I don't think we have. Let me just check. I don't think we have any questions.
We covered it all. That's why.
Covered it all. It's really cool. All right. So I'm not sure what our topic is next week. We're still going to have a meeting about that.
We've got lots of ideas. If anyone has any
ideas, massive ideas.
Yeah, has any suggestions or anything you want us to discuss, just let us know. We're happy to cover any topic. But we've got some good guests coming up over the next probably couple of months. So just sing out. Let us know. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Shana.
Cool. Thanks, Mark. See you.
Bye.
Bye.